I leave home for New York and watch the weeks pile up. She already had one foot and one kidney left by the time I did. We done say our last words. It was a quiet evening spent watching each other from opposite ends of the springboard bed. What could one departing woman say to another? She there having her fish and okra rice, and casually tells me it is the last time. And the 7 o'clock news on the TV comes on, makes another 20-minute punctuation in the conversation we are not really having. This is for real the last time I might get to see my grandmother. Her body frail and failing under age, my boarding pass already printed in the living room. She did show me how to catch chip-chip of manzanilla, a small clam-like shellfish, to harvest from wet sand, toes to dig and fingers to probe. Blue and purple shells still sealed closed means that it had the meat inside to cook the next day. I remember the still plump shadow of her sturdy bend and gathering hand, a red plastic strainer like she pulling out gold from the edge of the waves. There's a short space of time between the tide going down, the shells washing up, and the sandflies coming out to feed. But she said the bites didn't bother her. So my cousin and I sit and wait in my uncle's jeep, covered in damp towels with the windows up, watching out at her with the want of leaving. By the time I turn 20, the tide has stopped getting low enough for the chip-chip to surface in daylight. Grandma could barely make it to the kitchen to cook anything anyway, so the meal is only what I could remember. A stew still smelling like seabed, fresh, rubbery chew, a tired jaw. I leave the island, and the next April, my mother sends a stream of photos with the sea crossing the sandbank into the road, rinsing the concrete from new houses, washing the wood from the old. Manzanilla stretches her seaweed legs, starts hiking her way to the base of the mountain, and luckily does not climb it too. A week later, my mother calls quiet on the phone. It is like holding an empty shell against my ear on the corner of 59th and Lexington. And the traffic is too loud when she finally talks. But I know the news she has called to give. The doctor's notes say how my grandmother's lungs filled up with water, crossed to where water wasn't meant to wash, into her air passages, drained her small island self of breath. My grandmother does not return to dust when she dies, but lives in the flood of tears that follow. Manzanilla is now a fort of gabion baskets and raised sea banks. Nobody wants to live there anymore, if the waves are always wanting to rush the heels of the mountain. But we go back anyway. Wait long for the low tide, in even longer pants, taking up Chip Chip by torchlight.